Welcome to the Addison Bowen podcast, where we talk about what it actually takes to hit your first six or multi-six figures in business. I'm Addison, certified clinical hypnotherapist and online business coach for entrepreneurs. And 3 years ago, I decided that nursing wasn't for me, dropped out of nursing school, and dove into the online space. From free hypnosis audios to unfiltered conversations and business advice, this is the space for you to take radical responsibility towards creating your dream business. Let's dive in. If you feel like you've been doing everything in your business to achieve your goals, and yet it still feels like there's something that is holding you back, this is the episode for you. And this has to do with the subconscious mind. As always, we're going to be talking about the subconscious mind. So here's the thing. Our thoughts don't necessarily create our reality. Our thoughts are what create our behaviors, which then creates our reality. If you're curious to learn more about the subconscious mind, tune into the episode where we talked about creating your dream reality for 2024. But when I say that your thoughts don't necessarily create your reality, I also want you to realize that your beliefs and your subconscious beliefs, your subconscious programs do create your reality. So that is obviously because of our behavior. Your subconscious mind makes up 95% of your brain activity. And so this means that 95% of the decisions you make, the things you do, the thoughts you have are outside of your conscious awareness. So if you have times where you feel like I'm literally doing everything, and not only am I doing everything, but I'm taking more action and posting more, I'm, showing up more, I am connecting with clients, like I'm doing everything. And still, I'm not seeing the needle moving forward. I'm not seeing any change. This is when our subconscious mind is probably creating a block for us. So in order to change our beliefs holding us back, we need to access our subconscious mind and tell it different stories, create new programs. And so obviously a way to do this is through the use of hypnotherapy, which you guys are going to have a lot of access to in this podcast. So hypnotherapy has been a game changer for me when it comes to rewriting old patterns and beliefs in order to gain more success in my business. And it's really evident in my growth in my business, as well as my income, relationships, confidence, et cetera, and my clients as well too, that we are totally different people. We are literally changing our identity in order to change our current reality through the use of hypnotherapy, because that 95% of your mind is running the show. So today we're going to talk about some signs that you might be experiencing in your business, some things that you might be experiencing in your business to realize and know that you are experiencing possibly some subconscious blocks, so you can be aware of them, as well as that you could benefit from the use of hypnotherapy or from subconscious reprogramming. So we're going to talk about how to realize or how to know that your subconscious mind is cock blocking your success. So let's dive into it. So one of the first things that I always like to tell people is if you are constantly looking for the worst, or you look at ways in which things can go bad in every single situation, this is a subconscious protective mechanism. So an example of this is maybe a client doesn't respond right away and you think, oh my gosh, are they mad? Or they respond and their response feels like a little bit short and you're like, oh, they're mad at me, like they're thinking the worst, right? Like you always go to the worst. Or let's say someone DMs you about an offer, and instead of thinking like, oh my gosh, this could be potential for like a great opportunity, you're thinking like, there's no way I'm going to land this sales conversation. If you post a piece of content and you're like, yeah, what's the point of that? Like no one's going to sign anyways. We're always going towards worst case scenario versus best case scenario. Or someone leaves you on red and your first thought is, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm being ghosted. They don't even want to work with me. That is a clear sign that your subconscious mind is protecting you from a perceived threat. That perceived threat being likely some sort of rejection, some sort of, anxiety or fear, or just proof that you won't be successful. In order to change this, we need to get into the subconscious mind and actually program the subconscious mind for success. And the reason why this is so important is because in our subconscious mind, or in our brain, we have this bundle of neurons that's called the reticular activating system. And that part isn't important, but what is important is to know that what we focus on expands, and where our intention goes, our energy flows. So this is the reason why if you buy a new car, or you have yourself fixated on getting a new car, and all of a sudden you start seeing that car everywhere because you're putting focus on that thing, and that's going to expand. You're going to notice it everywhere. So very similarly with always thinking the worst in situations, when we're putting our focus on that, we don't have the ability to focus on all the things that are doing really well. We don't have the ability to focus on all of the ways that we can get ourselves out of that situation to problem solve. We don't focus on the ways in which we're actually really, really successful because we started the damn business. We're not focusing on the ways in which we're actually really abundant, or we are creative, or we have the ability to, create our reality. We're just sitting around thinking about all the things that can go bad. And this is okay. This is just the way that our mind works. And it's called the negativity bias. And we like to go negative before we go positive. But again, the reason that we want to shift this is to put more focus on the opportunities around us. Because when your subconscious mind has a belief that everything's going to go bad, you are going to unconsciously create a self-fulfilling prophecy for that, as well as seek to prove that right. So a great example of this is, let's say, you think all men are bad. You just always flip to the switch of like, all men are bad. I can never find a good man. I'm never going to, have this dream partner. And that's a belief that you have. You consistently, think those thoughts. You're not really putting yourself out there dating. You're not really trying to heal in order to, connect with a better man. You're not really, like looking at opportunities for yourself to connect with someone. And this is a belief that you have. And you're automatically, any time that you speak to a man, you're like, well, he wouldn't, be good because of XYZ thing, or you're pulling from past experience, right? Let's say that you're at a coffee shop, you're at Starbucks, you're getting your morning coffee, and someone starts chatting you up in the line, and there's a potential for you to create this connection with this guy that could be, your dream partner, or could lead to this connection, or even a friendship, right? But your belief is that all men are bad. So the first thing you're going to do is write this guy off. The first thing you're going to do unconsciously is probably not have the conversation, not open up to him, and believe that there's no possibility for you guys to connect. And that's just an example of how this works, versus if we have the belief that I'm going to find my dream partner, I'm going to live, and, be in this position where I find this amazing man that treats me this amazing way, you might be like, maybe the universe is sending me this person to connect with today, so I'm going to be friendly to him. So that's just an example, and all of this happens unconsciously. So it's really important that we're not constantly going to the negative, that we're not always thinking that everything is going to be wrong or bad. The next thing that is a very telltale sign that you need subconscious work, that you need to work on your subconscious mind, and that you should prioritize subconscious work over more business strategy, is nothing ever feels good enough. This one is probably going to hit home for a lot of you guys, but let's say you sign a client and you think, okay, but when will I sign another client? Or what if I never sign another client? Or I can only be happy when I'm making X amount of money, or when I pay off this amount of debt. Or you have a sale, let's say for like $22 or $44, but you're like, no one bought like my high ticket offer. Like I only made $22 today. Or I wish that was like a $4,000 offer. I wish that I, sold this amount. Or you launch a product and you have one sale. I've had this happen with clients where they launch a product, they have a smaller audience, they're, getting to the point where they're creating more visibility, and they launch this product to create passive income for them. And they have one sale the very first day, and they're like, well, because I didn't have 200, this is a failure, or that's not good enough. I probably am calling you out with this one, but this is another, thing where, again, we're focusing on and proving to ourselves. We're literally saying to our subconscious mind, where we're always feeling like nothing is good enough, no amount of money, no amount of sales, no amount of connections in the DMs, no amount of anything. Nothing is ever going to be good enough. I'm never going to be happy. And therefore, I want you to, subconscious mind, I want you to seek out more opportunities to, find where I'm not succeeding and where nothing is good enough. So again, we close ourselves off to the ability to be creative, to be resourceful, to focus on all of the good, to be a happy human, to enjoy our business. And what this does is, if we're not feeling good enough, remember, our feelings and our thoughts then create our behaviors. Our subconscious beliefs create our behaviors. So if our feelings are, I'm not good enough, this isn't good enough, like I didn't make that sale, I wish this was $4,000, I can't even be happy until I do this, those feelings are going to create undesirable behavior in your actions on the day-to-day as well too. So you'll find that showing up on social media might be hard, showing up with your clients might be hard, you might feel like a fraud. You're not just like in your potent, powerful energy, which is going to change the behaviors and how you show up in your business, which then is also going to dictate your results. So you can kind of see how this is a snowball effect of, I think this thing, or I feel this thing, my action, is aligned with this thing. I have less creativity, I show up less. and I'm just not feeling good enough. No one wants to not feel good enough. When we don't feel good enough every single day, our action is going to start, aligning with that versus aligning with what we want. So this is another telltale sign that you need subconscious reprogramming. Another sign that I see a lot of people experience is they constantly go, this one is so big, you guys, they constantly go through cycles of procrastination, which then leads to burnout. And then you want to take time off from your business because it's like this massive cycle. So what ends up happening is you're procrastinating. And the reason that we procrastinate is not because you're lazy. It's not because you, don't know what you're doing. It's not because you just don't have discipline. The reason we typically procrastinate is because we are protecting ourselves from some perceived threat. So you think a great example is, let's say you want to record new modules for a course, or you want to create a new product for your business, and you are like, oh, I'm going to do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes around, you're like, I'm going to do it the next day. Maybe you have a deadline in a couple of weeks. You keep saying okay, I'm going to start working on it so this can be the best, that I can make it. And then the night before, you're scrambling to put it together. The reason you are procrastinating that is not because you're lazy. It is because you've either created a consistent pattern in your subconscious mind of procrastination, and that feels comfortable. You almost need the oh shit, I got to get this done feeling to get it done. Or on the flip side, you are protecting yourself in some way from some perceived threat. So again, going back to the course example or creating a new product example, maybe you think that it's not going to be good enough, or you think that it's not going to serve people, or you think, oh, this information is too basic. And so instead of researching and making this a really good product and fully believing in yourself, you procrastinate it because you already are perceiving that it's not going to be good enough because you feel like a fraud or whatever's happening underneath the surface. And so you procrastinate it until the last minute and stress yourself out. You seeing where I'm going with this? So there's this cycle that a lot of entrepreneurs face where you do this, you procrastinate for whatever reason that we just named. And then because of that procrastination and you're doing things last minute, all of a sudden you have deadlines coming up with clients, or you have these things that you need to get out, you burn yourself out because you're all of a sudden having to work this 12-hour day, or you're all of a sudden having to work on weekends. You're all of a sudden, you've not created spaciousness and you're just struggling to get something done last minute. This leads to burnout. And then you're burnt out and you want to take time off. You're can't show up on social media now. I need to take time off from a launch. I need to, to maybe take time off from clients. Maybe I want to quit my business. This is a snowball effect of this cycle. So in order to break this, we obviously need to figure out why you're procrastinating in the first place, where the burnout is stemming from in the first place, because this is not normal. And I want you to realize as well, too, this directly affects your profitability because we're not creating discipline in what we're doing on a day-to-day. And the procrastination obviously is something that we can break as well, too, if we figure out why you're doing it and what the root cause of that is. So this isn't a burnout problem. This isn't a I've taken on too much problem. This isn't a strategy problem. This is a subconscious protective mechanism. Likely you've made this cycle a habit, or alternatively, you might be protecting yourself and self-sabotaging by procrastinating. So that's another telltale sign that you could do really well with some subconscious reprogramming, do really well with healing that procrastination burnout cycle and finding the root cause. The next example of things that are happening in your day-to-day experience that tell me that you need subconscious reprogramming is you waking up every single day with anxiety about all you need to do in your business, whether or not you'll create a sale, if you have enough time to do XYZ thing, and you're waking up with this feeling of just dread and panic about all that you need to do, or money, or creating a sale in your business, versus waking up with excitement for your day-to-day and your business. Because if we're already waking up in fight or flight mode first thing in the morning versus waking up with I have so much spaciousness in my, day-to-day. I feel so good. I'm so excited about what I'm going to create. I feel so powerful. I feel so motivated. Again, that feeling directly creates behaviors that do not serve us. So you're in fight or flight mode directly when you wake up with physical anxiety, feelings in the body, stress in the mind. Stress signals danger to the body. Stress signals danger to the body. And therefore, signing clients or business becomes unsafe for you. And so you're going to have a really hard time growing because stress signals what in the body? Stress signals unsafety in the body, danger in the body, in the mind. When something is dangerous to us, we've already talked about this with the subconscious mind. When our subconscious mind sees a perceived threat, it's going to do anything to stop us from doing that thing. It's going to do anything to stop us from achieving that result. And so when we're feeling stress around signing clients, when we're feeling stress around money, we start to associate those things with danger. So especially if you're waking up in the morning with anxiety around all that you need to do in your business and the lack of time that you have, you're not going to sign clients because you're already stressed and overwhelmed and anxious about things that are going to happen in your business. This actually happened to me last year, summertime. I had a period of 3 months where I didn't see a single sale in my business. And my first thought was, I need to change my strategy. My marketing sucks. And so I started tweaking things, and then I was like, wait, no, like my strategy is awesome. My marketing's awesome. I've done all the work with my strategy to set this up for success for this growth. What is actually happening underneath the surface? And I found that I had this overwhelm. I had this fear every single day of like, I don't want to be overwhelmed. I don't want to take on too many clients. I didn't feel like I had enough time on my day-to-day. So the reason I wasn't signing clients was not because my strategy needed to change. It's because subconsciously I didn't actually want to sign those clients because I thought that was going to overwhelm my time schedule. I thought that was going to create more anxiety or like worry or stress for me, right? And so remember, if you have a goal or desire in business that you have not achieved yet, there's likely some sort of limiting belief in the way. And the first answer for you is not to tweak or change your strategy. That's just another thing to think about. We don't want to be feeling stress, anxiety, fight or flight every single day when we wake up in the morning. The next sign that you need subconscious reprogramming or that you could really benefit from hypnotherapy is that you make everything mean something about you. Someone ghosts you in the DMs. So someone, tells you no to a program, tells you that your prices are out of range for them or out of budget for them. A client gives you feedback. I already mentioned someone ghosts you. You get a pricing objection. Someone says something bad about you, wants to pull out of a contract, or let's say even you have a, client situation where they give you feedback and maybe they don't want to continue their contract. Instead of you recognizing that that is just a normal part of business and you're separate from your business, you make that mean something about you. You make that mean that you're less worthy as a business owner and wonder if you're cut out for business or if you should just quit. Alternatively, you may let this affect your mood for days and have a really hard time bouncing back. So instead of saying like, oh, my client gave me feedback, that's incredible. Like now I get to be better because I got this feedback. You're sitting there and saying like, oh, I suck and I suck. And I suck and I suck. And so I'm just going to like feel like I suck for days. And remember, again, these feelings then create behaviors that we don't love, that do not serve our future evolution. And so we need to stop making everything mean something about us. Part of business is that people will pull out of contracts. We're dealing with humans, right? We're human first businesses. People will pull out of contracts. You will get ghosted. Not everyone will be able to afford your rates. You're going to get pricing objections. Stuff like this is going to happen. And we don't want to like normalize that all these bad things are happening, but it will happen. And the further, from like making that mean anything about you, you can get, the faster you will see success. This is like non-circumstantial power. This is when you decide to say, regardless, I'm incredible. I will always take radical responsibility for ways in which I can get better. I'm always going to grow. I'm always going to, seek out ways in which I can serve my clients to a higher standard, but none of this means anything about me. This is just business. So if you experience that where you consistently make everything mean something about you, you constantly are kind of feeling like, oh my gosh, that just happened. Like I suck. I'm not going to be successful. And you let that affect how you show up. Like you don't, go live or post content that day or sell because of this one thing that happened. And maybe that even bleeds into multiple days. You could benefit from the daily use of hypnotherapy. You could benefit from, creating space from this with the use of hypnotherapy or subconscious reprogramming. The next point, which I know this one's going to call you guys out a lot, is you show up with the energy of what's the point? I've had a lot of clients come to me with this feeling of like, I haven't seen sales for 3 days or maybe for 2 weeks. So like, what's the point of continuing to show up? Maybe you have really, really good content. Maybe you are, creating really, really good content and marketing and your strategy is like really good. But every single day when you post content or when you post a graphic, when you post a reel, when you post a TikTok, when you sell in your stories, you think, what is the point? No one's going to buy anyways. Maybe you've gone a few weeks without a sale And again, so every time you sell or create this content, you think, what's the point? No one is going to buy. Yikes, guys. This is subconscious self-sabotage. And likely with the energy of that, you're going to have a really hard time creating sales. I think it's pretty evident why, right? Like if everything that we do is coming from what's the point versus I'm so powerful and I'm incredible and I'm going to succeed, my success is inevitable, there's a very different energy behind the creation of content and the showing up with that mindset versus the mindset of what is the point. So if that is something that you experience on a day-to-day, you would benefit from the use of hypnotherapy, reprogramming your mind for success, an inevitable success, and reprogramming your mind for the income and the clients that you want, as well as coupled with that action that you're already taking. So you're showing up from the place of like, hell yeah, this is incredible versus like, what's the point? The next point that tells me you need subconscious reprogramming or could benefit from the use of hypnotherapy is that you lack neutrality around money. This is a huge one, and we're going to do a whole podcast episode on this. So if you have specific questions around money, subconscious blocks around money, or anything to do with money in business, send me a DM, send in your questions. We'll do a poll on this as well too, so you can send in your questions, but you lack neutrality around money. So maybe you had to pay an extra expense you weren't considering, or you decide you want to invest in something big, but the thought creates physical stress in the body, in like the chest, the throat, your mind. You're like, oh my gosh, what if I never make this back? What if, I like can't pay my bills this month, even though there's no sign that that's going to happen, and you trust in yourself to create a sale. This tells me that money equals unsafe for you and you're not in a place to receive it. Because if money is unsafe to our subconscious mind, the energy behind that is obviously it's unsafe. And this is not woo-woo. Your subconscious mind is literally going to create any block or obstacle to prove that money is unsafe to you. So it's going to be really hard to receive it and to create those sales. This is, again, another form of subconscious self-sabotage. And so we want to create neutrality around money and business because there are always going to be extra expenses. We want to get to a place where we can invest from a place of power instead of a place of fear. We want to get to a place where we can, grow and expand and take risks, because that's where quantum leaps happen, is when we take risks in business, when we allow ourselves to move forward, whether or not we have fear. And so when we're feeling this, money equals unsafe, we don't have this neutrality, we feel physical symptoms in our body or have thoughts in our mind of, what if everything runs out? That tells me that you're in a scarcity or lack mindset. And being in business really requires that we have this abundant mindset, because the truth is you can always make more money in business. You can always create a new offer. You always have the ability to expand your income. And when we shift into that mindset, everything changes. So this is another sign that you would benefit from the use of hypnotherapy or subconscious reprogramming. So overall, moving through these blocks, these are just a few of the telltale signs that it is time for you to work with the subconscious mind. Maybe you're in the position where you already know the strategy, you already know how to show up, you know how to create content, and you really want to catapult to your next level of income and fast. You really want to get to the place where you're making $20,000 plus months in your business. And again, you know how to sign clients, you know the strategy. It's really just about getting to that next level without doing more. This is your key to doing that. It is doing the deep subconscious reprogramming work. It's the hypnotherapy. It is accessing and rewriting these beliefs and getting to a place where we're not letting our emotions dictate our actions, where we are not experiencing these things around money, around clients, around non-circumstantial power. We're not experiencing moments where we're like, what's the point? We genuinely just feel so neutral about everything in business. And we're so excited to show up on a day-to-day. And this doesn't mean that you can't, have emotions in business, or you can't be human and you can't be sad sometimes or experience anxiety. Sometimes that's not what I'm saying at all. This is when, we're experiencing these things consistently to the point where we've created new subconscious beliefs about how our success is not inevitable. And that is changing the level of action that we're taking. So we're not, showing up with this being every single day of I'm, choosing to be this next level version of myself. I'm showing up as her, and therefore like attracting these, things that I want into my business and in my life. And you're finding that you're having this constant like battle with yourself about, I know what I need to do, but I'm not actually doing it. That is when we need the subconscious work. And again, you already know how to create the sales. You already know how to sign clients in your business, but you're really looking for that next level of success without the burnout, without the procrastination, and without these unresourceful feelings. This is when you need to contact me about the Master Your Mind Mastermind, which is a 6-month mastermind space for service providers, coaches, looking to increase your business revenue to $10,000 plus consistent months. Ultimately, we're working on creating confidence in your marketing and launch strategy. So looking at the strategy side of things, but also looking at the subconscious beliefs so we can master not only your business, but also your mindset. So we stop experiencing, these little flukes that then change how we show up in our business, and we create that power within and realize that our success is inevitable. And ultimately, mastering our mind to master our business, master our subconscious mind, and pave the way for unparalleled success. We're going to do another episode on these signs that you could benefit from subconscious reprogramming, signs that you could benefit from hypnotherapy, with different beliefs that might come up, like I'm not ready, when you allow your emotions to hijack your day, different, money experiences that you might have, or feeling of unworthiness. So let me know what questions you have about money. Let me know what questions you have about the subconscious mind on Instagram. Send me a DM if you're curious about the mastermind, or check out the show notes below. Remember to follow this podcast, rate it 5 stars so you can get notified when we have new episodes. And I hope that this served you and helped you understand where your subconscious mind might be sabotaging your next level success.